welcome to Newsmakers. I'm your host, Nancy Lewis. Today we're going to talk about voters getting ready for the presidential election. We're here in the Truman Library, and if you haven't been here, you really should stop by. They have some amazing things going on here and a wonderful exhibit coming up. We're here today with Missouri Secretary of State Jason Kander. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Nancy.
So I know that your office is consistently busy, protecting Missouri investors. Talk to me a little bit about what's going on right now.
Sure. So one of the things that we're doing right now is getting around the state of Missouri and making sure that people know about some of the top threats against Missourians. I always remind people that it's nothing to be embarrassed about if someone, came close to or successfully victimized you in a scam. I always remind people that people who do that for a living, that's their work, and they get very good at it. And so very savvy people are unfortunately taken advantage of all the time. And one of the best things you can do to protect yourself is to call our office. We have an investor protection hotline. It's 1-800-721-7996. And it's important to make sure you figure out whether or not the person who wants to sell you an investment is actually registered. A lot of people don't know that in the state of Missouri, the law says that in order to sell investments, you have to be registered with our office. So I always tell people that if somebody is not registered with our office, it's kind of a red flag because they're already operating outside the law, and it's likely that they're going to do other things that are outside the law.
If I get one of those people on the phone, I tell them on the phone that I'm calling your office, and that seems to do a lot of work.
Well, yeah, no, that's great.
They're a little scared of you.
Well, and then the key is to actually call our office because, and I always remind people of this, even if you weren't fooled by one of the scams, tell us because then we know where it is that they're targeting and what approach they're taking, and that may keep one of your neighbors from becoming a victim.
So moving on, we're well underway in this year's legislative session. So what's something that you're working really hard to get done this year?
So my objective, among many, is to make sure that Missouri is the best place in the country to do business. And one of the ways to do that is to make it the least expensive place in the country to do business. So last year, we had a piece of legislation that would have made it so that the fees that are filed with our office to do business in the state would be the lowest overall of any state in the entire country.
That's impressive.
Yeah, made it a long way with it. We had bipartisan support for the bill. It was endorsed by the Missouri Chamber of Commerce, the Missouri chapter of the National Federation of Independent Businesses, and it got almost all the way to the governor's desk, but it kind of got tangled up in some politics at the end of the legislative session. So this year, we're making that push again. We're optimistic about it. But in addition to that, this year's legislation actually makes it completely free with our office to start a business, which I think is really important because we want to encourage as many Missourians as possible to go ahead and take that entrepreneurial leap.
So obviously it's election season, and so what do Missourians need to know to be ready for Election Day?
Sure. Well, one of the things they can do is go to govotemissouri.com. You can go there, you can do things like you can find out your polling place, for instance, you can find out what materials you might need and election dates and that sort of thing. So that's a website through our office. It's govotemissouri.com. Also, if there are folks watching this who need to update their registration or need to just get registered in the first place, or maybe they have that brother-in-law that always says he's going to get registered and they need to go ahead and convince him to register to vote. We actually have made Missouri the 16th state in the country to put the voter registration form online, so that's an option there as well.
So what is the one thing that maybe people get confused about before elections that you can kind of clear up?
Well, I think the most important thing is just to remind folks that it's really important. That one of the ways you can honor our veterans, for instance, is to go and exercise the right to vote that they fought for. I mean, for me personally, I served in Afghanistan with the Army, so Election Day is always a special day to me. It's an opportunity for me to have the chance to go exercise the very right that was part of the reason that I volunteered to go to Afghanistan in the first place. And it's for me also sort of a way to honor my grandfather who served in World War II or my great-grandfather who served in World War I. So for all those folks who maybe have that brother-in-law I mentioned who hasn't gotten registered or just are thinking about whether or not they're going to go vote, say, in a local election, well, sometimes those are the most important elections. And, it really honors the other people who have fought for that right to go out and exercise that right.
All right, good words. Thanks
a
lot.
Thank you, Nancy.
Thanks for being here, and thank you for being here. We hope to see you next time on Newsmakers.